we go for Laura. Come on the stage now. Come on, Brooklyn.
So when my oldest brother and my sister-in-law, John and Risa, told me that they were expecting their first child, I was super, super excited. It would be the first time I'd be an aunt. I'm the youngest and the only daughter of 4. And so I knew this would be a big role for me. But over time, this joy in those 9 months, I'd have spikes of jealousy, bizarrely, and worry of this unborn child. And you guys are the first people I've ever told this to, so don't tell my brother. But I was jealous of this future shift in dynamic between me and my oldest brother. I look up to him so much, and I kind of figured that once his firstborn would come into their lives, that I would get pushed aside. And as the youngest children know, we love the spotlight. You know what I'm saying? Anyone? Yeah? Okay. So, and this bitterness, this secret bitterness was made apparent during the baby shower, which happened a week before my birthday. And as the youngest, you assume that there's always going to be some sort of spotlight on you. And so I was living in DC at the time, and I'd flown home to Cleveland, where I'm from, and thank you. And so it's this big backyard barbecue, like a bunch of people coming over. It's a whole weekend shenanigans. And I figured at some point a cake would come out and that they would surprise me with a song at least. And that song was never sung. And that cake was never eaten or whatever you would say, consumed. So I go back to DC, and I'm still super excited though. And as they were due over Labor Day, ironically, because of babies and labor. And my mom also lived in DC at the time, and she was like, "I'm flying home no matter what. The baby is expected this weekend. Take a look at flights. I think you should come with me." So I looked at flights. They were super cheap. I grabbed a flight, and I told my mom, "I'm going to come. Don't tell my brother. I'm going to surprise them at the hospital." So I love surprises. And the night before we were flying out, I Skyped my brother. And we weren't sure if the baby was coming that weekend, but it was assumed. And I was talking to him, and he's like, "I wish you can come home with Mom. I'm so bummed, but I'm so excited." And I had my bag packed next to me on the floor. And I was like, "I'm so sorry, I can't be there." And was heightening the future surprise. So next day comes, we're at the airport, at the gate, my mom gets a call from my brother, and Risa is in labor. So he tells my mom, "Come straight to the hospital." So we get to the hospital, and I'm like, "Mom, go ahead. So she goes ahead, she gives her a big hug, and I hear them talking, and I'm hiding in the hospital, in the lobby of the waiting room, behind a pillar. And I call him, and I immediately can hear him grinning from ear to ear, like already emotional. And he's like telling me all the details of the day so far. Sorry. And so I'm like, "Oh man, I wish you could be there." He's like, "I know, me too, but I'm so excited." And then he's like, why is there an echo? Why does your voice sound weird? And before I could even explain, I just like peeked out from behind the pillar, and he just looked at me like jaw dropped. And all I could think of was saying, "Ta-da!" So he was shocked. He was speechless. The tears were in his eyes. And we got to be there all day with him and with Risa's family, and it was really special. And my nephew, Anthony, was born that night. So the next day, he's the best. The next day, we come back, we meet him we hold him for the first time, so we all take turns. And then my mom has Anthony, and she hands him to me, and all I remember, and I was the youngest, so I didn't hold babies growing up. That wasn't really my deal. So she puts Anthony, I'm sitting down in a chair, and she puts him in my arms, and I look down at him, and I remember just feeling this warm log of body like in my arms, and I was so confused, but I was speechless, and tears were in my eyes, and I didn't want to look up because I knew I was crying. So I looked up, and the whole room was like just waiting for my response, but I could just smile. And so 4 years later, Anthony is my best friend. I was just in Cleveland this weekend for another wedding, and usually whenever we hang out, he just goes like, "Aunt Wawa, do you know you're my best friend?" And I was like, "Yes, and you're my best friend." And I realized that over time that this dynamic has shifted, and that it's shifted for the absolute better, which I couldn't even imagine. My oldest brother has always been one of the closest people in my life, and now he has 2 sons, Anthony and baby John, and they have completely just added so much more joy to my life and our lives, and I'm very grateful for them. Thank you.